Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining me to Parents Against Cyberbullying. I know it's a lot for all of you to come out here and join me, and there's a lot of questions, and everybody's just wondering, what we do as a program and what's going on. So today I would like to just kind of introduce what we do. Cyberbullying is a very dangerous thing that's going on right now. And as parents, we really need to get into a motion of stopping this and helping to prevent it from furthering any longer. I'm very pleased to be here today to help you guys out and really understand what's going on. My name is Brittany. I am a mother of two, and I am a future educator. And I would like to really help parents understand just how dangerous this can be. So to start off today, we're going to do a presentation, and I'm going to give you guys just some information about what's going on and how it works and what we can do to prevent this. Also, I have an activity for you guys to do. It's really educational, it's fun, it's just something that you're all going to really like. So again, I really do appreciate you guys joining me today, and I hope you get a lot out of this. So today we're going to start off by just talking about what cyberbullying is. And most of you do know what it is, but some of us parents don't really understand the effects of it. It is when, one of our kids, or even adults do this, go online or on their phones and they just harass people or threaten them or even send sexual messages that are unwanted, like sexual harassment, but it's through the phone. So how this works is somebody gets on there and they kind of just pick on you. It's really just, bullying, except it's through cyber. So getting more into it, it's super common. There are lots of people who have been cyberbullied throughout their life. I know I have been cyberbullied before, and it's very devastating because for some reason people like to get on the internet and they like to hide behind it. So an example of this is, people feel like they have more of a voice on the internet. And I think that's why there are so many opinions nowadays. Like, everybody feels like they have an opinion and they're entitled to their opinion, which is great. Go ahead, do what you got to do. But we do need to watch what we say. Almost every 1 in 5 high schoolers have reported of experienced cyberbullying, and that's a lot. That's a lot of kids that have had to experience horrible things that are going on throughout their lives. And it actually ends up making our students more prone to substance abuse and depression. And an example of substance abuse would be drugs, alcohol, self-harming. It has even caused suicide, which is awful. I mean, teenagers alone are already experiencing all these horrible mental things because they're growing up, they're dealing with life, they're just going through all these hormonal imbalances and changes, and to add cyberbullying onto that is just, it's really messing with them, and it's something we need to take more seriously. Self-harm would be cutting, and sometimes they will punch themselves and punch walls and just inflict damage onto their bodies to try to experience outward damage rather than the inward damage that they're feeling. And this is something that is just overwhelming to think about. The suicide rate in teenagers is also tremendous. There are so many links between suicide in children and teenagers and cyberbullying. There have been many cases where students just get online, they get bullied, and they take their own lives. And this is just ridiculous. This is not something that teenagers should be experiencing. It's not something, even kids are experiencing as young as 11. And that's just ridiculous. So there are many middle schoolers who have also experienced cyberbullying, which is just crazy to think about because I remember being in middle school and my biggest fear was running laps in gym or, people making fun of me for my clothing, which was fine because, back then it wasn't that serious. But now they're getting online and they're calling them horrible names and posting embarrassing pictures and just things that, kids shouldn't deal with that they are dealing with. How to deal with bullies is a really big thing that we need to discuss today, because that's something that I feel like can really help parents understand. We need to monitor our children's online activities, and this is a huge thing that needs to be done by parents and educators as well. You know, we let our kids have these electronics, these tablets, these phones, but we're not monitoring what they're doing. We're just letting them have them, and that's a huge problem, because we're not even knowing if they're being the bullies or if they're being bullied. It's a huge problem, and it's something that we need to step up and take care of. And as a parent myself, that's something that I want to do and I want to inflict on my child's life when they have electronics. So, getting passwords or being on social media ourselves, being friends, we as parents can make that decision. We can make them give them our passwords. We can make them be our friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things, because we need to do that. We are the adults. We need to stop trying to be their friends and be their parents. We also need to recognize the signs of bullying, such as, we need to limit their time on electronics. We need to know how to communicate over the internet. We also need to learn how to speak with our children. Kids may appear nervous. That's a huge sign on when they're on their electronics. They may seem to get skittish, close their phones, put them away, and that might just be they want to protect their privacy, but it's also a huge sign of bullying. They also may refuse to give you your account. And again, as parents, that's when we need to say, hey, you know what? Give me your phone. Give me your tablet. Give me your computer. You're done. Like, you don't get it. We're done. We need to step up and be part of the solution rather than the problem. Recognizing the signs also can be, emotional suffering, distress, such as social withdrawal, neglect in their hygiene, changes in personality. Those are huge red flags that we need to be aware of. We also need to learn how to respond to cyberbullying. A huge thing would be access the situation. Come to your child, go to a teacher, go to a counselor, say, hey, this is what's going on. We need to fix it. What are we going to do? Reporting the bullying is huge. That's just, if you just let your child bully somebody or you let the bullying continue, that you're part of the problem. The parents are also just as big a part of the problem as the children. The internet is obviously a very dangerous place. It's actually scary to think about. There are people who are hiding on the internet and they pretend to be who they're not. An example of this would be catfishing. Catfishing is when we take someone's personal identity and we pretend to be them. It creates a new world over the internet, and it's actually a very scary process to think about. This is how people actually tend to cyberbully. They tend to go on the internet, they will pretend to be somebody else and go onto people's profiles and comment horrible, scary things that will ruin a child's life. This is what we would call trolling. This is when somebody, goes purposely on other people's accounts and tries to make them feel bad about themselves. They will comment hateful things, they'll make fun of them. In extreme cases, which I have seen myself, they will tell somebody to kill themselves. And that's not cool. That's not something we want people doing on the internet. The internet can be awesome, but it also can be super scary. Catfish can also be dangerous in so many other ways that I'm not going to really get into right now. But just watch your children, be a part of their lives. Take control. There are so many laws out there now against cyberbullying, and parents get mad that we're taking it to the law. But this is serious. I don't want my child feeling like, they have to kill themselves over something that some other child is telling them. It's not okay. It's something that needs to be taken seriously. It's something that we can do so many things about that we need to. Today we are going to be learning just some training that we can do. We're going to be more educated in this field because I feel like There are so many parents who aren't educated, which understandable. Parents these days grew up in a world without electronics, without the internet, without phones. And they don't really understand what our children and what my age understands. And so we really need to cover that ground. We need to be there. We need to figure out the solution and just do this. And today that's what we're going to do. We're going to learn how to help our kids be part of the solution and not the problem, and figure out a way to decrease the suicide rate over our children. And I really appreciate you all taking the time to come out here and listen to me and help us throughout this. So thank you. I appreciate it.